Disclaimer: this video is for educational purposes and serves as a tribute to the brave soldiers who fought on D-Day. Some scenes may depict the realities of war. Viewer discretion is advised. How D-Day Changed Everything, by African Vulture. June 6, 1944, a day that changed the course of its history. Known as D-Day, it was the largest amphibious invasion ever attempted, marking the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. But what was D-Day, and why is it considered one of the most crucial events of World War II? To understand its significance, we must first look at the world during the 1940s, a world at war, torn apart by tyranny and destruction. Before D-Day, the world was already at war. But what caused this conflict? The roots of World War II can be traced back to the aftermath of World War I. The Treaty of Versailles left Germany in economic ruins, while political tensions grew across Europe and Asia. In the 1930s, Germany, under Adolf Hitler, began expanding its violating international agreements. Meanwhile, Italy and Japan pursued their own military conquests. This led to a division of nations. On one side were the Axis powers, Germany, Italy and Japan. On the other, the Allied forces, including the United States, Great Britain, the Soviet Union, and many others, who stood against the tyranny. World War II became the deadliest conflict in history, with battles Europe, Africa, and the Pacific. But in 1944, the tide of war was about to turn, with an invasion that would change everything. June 6, 1944, this was the day that changed the course of World War II. Known as D-Day, it marked the beginning of the Allied liberation of Nazi-occupied Europe. The invasion took place on the beaches of Normandy, France. Why is it called D-Day? First off, the term D-Day was a military code used for the day in any large operation. And second, the letter D simply stood for day. In this case, it became the most famous D-Day in history. In the early hours of June 6, 1944, thousands of Allied ships, aircraft and solidiers prepared for the largest amphibious assault in history. Their goal was to break through Adolf Hitler's Atlantic Wall and push the Germans back. Before the beach landings, the Allied troopers were dropped behind enemy lines to disrupt German defenses. At dawn, over 156,000 Allied troops landed on 5 beaches: Utah, Omaha, Gold, Juneau, and Sword. The fighting was brutal, especially on Omaha Beach, where American forces intense resistance. Despite having heavy casualties, the Allies secured the beaches by the end of day. D-Day was a success, marking the beginning of the end for Nazi Germany. D-Day was just the beginning. After securing the beaches of Normandy, the Allies pushed further into France, liberating towns and cities from the Nazi control. By August of 1944, Paris was liberated. The Allies then advanced toward Germany, forcing Hitler's forces into retreat. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union was advancing from the east, crushing the German army. By early 1945, Nazi Germany was on the brink of collapse. On on April 30, 1945, as the Soviet troops surrounded Berlin. Adolf Hitler took his own life in his underground bunker. Just days later, Germany surrendered unconditionally. On May 8, 1945, the war in Europe officially ended. The success of D-Day played a key role in bringing World War II to its final chapter. D-Day was one of the most pivotal moments in history. It was a turning point that led to the defeat of Nazi Germany and the liberation of Europe. But victory came at a great cost. Over 4,000 Allied troops lost their lives that day, with thousands more wounded or missing. Their sacrifice was not in vain. They fought for freedom, for peace, and for future generations. Today, we honor them and remember their courage.